Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome to your instant race reaction for the F1 2019 Azerbaijan Grand Prix, round number 4 of the season, with myself and Tom here today. And that was not the race I was expecting at Baku. I thought it was going to be usual chaos. F2 was absolute chaos at Azerbaijan for the main race and the sprint race, but that was a very tame Grand Prix, Tom. And it wasn't exactly a classic, and really the overwhelming thought for me was just what Ferrari playing out with their strategy. Clearly they didn't even have much of a car to really attack Mercedes, but even then they didn't really try that much with Leclerc. They could have gone way more aggressive with Leclerc, I felt.
Yeah, first of all, I am done believing Ferrari have a car. Mercedes have the fastest car.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even, for the next race, I'm not even going to
Mate, it's like that tweet I said. This is actually the first time in history, I'm pretty sure, a team has had actually 4 1-2s in a row. So they've made history today. Yeah. So that in itself is unbelievable. I mean, fair play. That is crazy to make history like that. That's a record that could stand for a long time, to be honest now, for a lot of years. But, you know, knowing Merck, what they said earlier on Friday of this race weekend about them being on the back foot to Ferrari in FP1 at Azerbaijan, you know, they've had 4 1-2s in a row. First time in history. They're going to rock up to Spain. Watch out FP1. They're like, yeah, you know what, lads, Ferrari are actually ahead a little bit. We need to do a lot of work. Hamilton's going to be like, yeah, we're not the best. We've got a lot of work to do here. It pisses me off now.
I've had enough, okay? The same thing happened in Bahrain. Like, literally, after practice, Mercedes are 1.5 behind, and oh no, it's all doom and gloom. And then they just turn the engine up, okay? And they're not even that bad on the straights either. It's a load of BS. Like, the way Bottas breezed past Leclerc when he overtook him in towards the end of that's Leclerc's first stint. Literally, I'm sorry, mate, I'm not buying it anymore. It's a load of crap. Mercedes are just a unit, and they're stronger than ever because, wakey wake, Bottas is actually a threat this year. Yeah. And he's actually seemingly... He's there.
Fair play.
The porridge boss.
Bottas, porridge boss, yeah. Bottas with the second win of the season, so it's 2 apiece from Bottas to Hamilton. And I mean, fair play. You know, it may not be the most fantastic racing we've seen, but Bottas again did the job there and really showed that this year he is a bit of a change man. Obviously, he went down a little bit. He was kind of nowhere at Bahrain, but you kind of have that as a driver sometimes. So I guess maybe a lot of us took it for granted that, you know, you do have those ups and downs. Hamilton this weekend, his engineer at the end of that race just said you survived Baku for another year because, you know, it's not his favourite circuit. So, you know, every driver has those kind of ups and downs. So fair play to Bottas. And I'm hoping at least then, Tom, it means that, you know, we'll get that Rosberg v Hamilton sort of vibe, maybe. Not exactly the same thing, but a different kind of version of that Merc on Merc battle, hopefully. Because if Ferrari aren't going to pull their socks up at some point and turn up, if they're planning to sandbag the entire season just to bamboozle us all, then I hope that at least Bottas v Hamilton becomes a real fiery thing eventually.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we can hope for, to be honest, because it's looking very against what I expected to happen this season, to be honest, because even Red Bull don't look...
There was a brief moment. There was a brief moment in that race where Red Bull looked good. It was the period where, just before the virtual safety car, where the tyres were in that range of they're warmed up now, but they're getting a little bit worn maybe as well. And even Gasly had a better pace than Leclerc when they're on the same strategy of starting on the medium tyres. So Red Bull did have a little bit of pace there, but not really. Ferrari the same way. Leclerc looked mega at the start, but that's because the medium tyre worked a lot better on not just the Ferrari. I think the medium tyre was just the race tyre to go to be honest.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That was a very enjoyable part, to be fair. Watching him breeze through those cars, very, very nice to see. But then it was very clear that it wasn't ever going to work. And I had this debate on Twitter. I don't know what your opinions are, Tom, but in my opinion, I think Ferrari should have gone early and gambled on a 2-stop with Leclerc, put him on 2 sets of mediums, then 1 soft set, just said, no tyre saving, mate, just push as hard as you can. I think that was that would have been a better gamble than gambling on a safety car coming out and just making him do a normal 1-stop onto softs, in my opinion.
Maybe.
It's a wishful thinking, I'll admit that.
I can understand. My issue is it really didn't seem like the soft was working, so it would not work. I just think the soft was so
Well, that's
bad.
why I say 2 sets of mediums. I think the mediums working so well.
But your work would still get undermined by the soft. I mean, if you look at the kind of pace the Mercedes were doing right at the end there, like Vettel actually finished over 10 seconds behind at the end.
Yeah.
That the Mercedes pushing themselves right at the end there, it just proved that it wasn't really close. Like, maybe he could have got Verstappen, but even Verstappen, I mean, you know, credit to him, he was setting in some consistent low.
He had a really good second stint. His engineer said that.
Like, he just kept his head down, didn't forget, like, he kind of forgot about the gap and just kept on pushing, and he done his job. And fair play to a couple of drivers. I think there's a lot of good performances there today, you know, in a not so spectacular race. And like I said, Gasly was also one of them. But
yeah, I mean, what a shame for him. He was actually looking comfortable in the Red Bull car for once. Went fastest in Q1, had some pace there. If he hadn't had that annoying penalty, he would have made it easily into Q3 and would have been quite good maybe to challenge Verstappen. So that was a real shame for him. But yeah, I mean, in a race where Vettel had to win the race, basically, it wasn't a domination in terms of from Merck in terms of the gap to Vettel, but it may as well have been because he didn't look like he was going to be attacking them at any point really in that race.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. For me, it did feel like a domination. It just never felt like at any moment. Not just Vettel, nobody was going to touch the Mercedes today. I'm sorry, I'm done with the narrative now. I just don't believe it anymore. This is Spain is the next track. So
it's the strongest start they've had to a season in the V6 era. So
and the only time it was close was Bahrain. That's the only race it was close.
Yeah.
I mean, even then, Mercedes weren't as bad in Bahrain as I think people wanted them to believe. I think they were much closer.
Yeah, I mean, we'll watch out because there's that tiny chance Spain, the track where Ferrari looked very good, but obviously the track temps were so different there in pre-season to now. So we'll see. But it was. This is
why I'm changing my judgment from now on. Spain is going to completely debunk the myth and prove that testing means nothing, and they were completely sandbagging the entire test.
Yeah,
and they're going to smoke Ferrari.
I've never enjoyed Merck very much. They're a little bit of a vanilla team, really, even when it comes to playing around with marketing and stuff like that. A lot of other teams have more banter, but in terms of on track, I've never really enjoyed them that much because they've just been annoyingly just there all the time, and we've never had a really all-out season with them and another team. But this scenario of them saying they're bad and then they're not has really got to me because it's just lads, just be honest with us. Just say that you're looking pretty good and you're just doing your race stuff. Don't keep saying you're on the back foot. It just gets really vexing to me when they just keep.
I'm really triggered by it, and the worst thing is the British media and the narrative push that even more.
Yeah, so they're always
when they turn up. Yeah. You're literally okay, sick. So what are we doing now then?
It's really it's like that GIF that you posted, that not a GIF, that video that you tweeted at some point in the season, where the guy's getting to the car just laughing and then closing the door. That is just Merck. It's just you thought the entire time, but you know what?
I'll tweet it after, to be fair.
In reality, you should do. In reality, it's just, oh my God. And then the cameraman, I mean, GG's today, fella. The commentator literally says, from P10 to P17, they're all in the city section of the track all together. What are we looking at? We're looking at the top 5 just pushing each other's delta times to each other. So that was great. GG's
we said
for
about
that.
This recently in the podcast about how they should really show the lower midfield battles more.
They should.
To make it seem like it's a better race.
Yeah,
they
definitely.
Too much on the lead battle,
I mean, there was some great results out there. Let's talk about the rest of the grid. Perez P6, that Racing Point car. At one point he was P4. Fantastic start for him.
And qualifying as well.
Yeah, and
P5.
And he seems to just enjoy Baku. So fair play there. P6, best of the rest by far. And then the two McLarens. Obviously, they're slippery in a straight line, and this time it worked out for them. Unlike China, Carlos Sainz P7 to recover from that bad quali he had, being beaten by Norris, and Norris P8, still solid. Two McLarens in the points. I'll give them that because I was skeptical. I said I need to see 5 races in a row to see McLaren be good, to really believe it. This is one more to the added tally, but we'll see how it goes for Spain now.
Arrive at Spain, so
perhaps.
Maybe they could. They've had one bad out of 3 races. Obviously they've retired and whatnot, but generally speaking, their pace has been good in 3 out of the 4.
Mm-hmm.
And even in, I think, what was it? Was it China? They won. Apparently the race pace wasn't terrible. It was just the fact they were so far behind. They both got taken out early on. But the pace wasn't that bad. So I guess we'll see with McLaren. But I said to you before, I feel quite confident about them. I feel like they really have turned the corner. And they've got Andreas Steidl, the Porsche guy. He's fully working for them now. It's all in motion. Apparently, Sainz said he's really motivated. So yeah, that's looking good for them.
Yeah, the reports were very good for him in terms of that. And then Lance Stroll, P9, actually did a mega job, actually, to be fair. So big ups, Lance Stroll, P9. Quite quiet P9, really. And then Kimi Raikkonen, P10, I've got to say, that is a mega drive from the Iceman because not only did he get disqualified from qualifying for a front wing flex issue, he then had to pit way earlier than everyone because he said that he couldn't fight like this. I don't know if there was something wrong with the car or he just did the tyres wrong. The tyres were kind of maybe cooked or something at the very start of the race, but he said he couldn't race like that, so he had to pit very early. So I thought, okay, surely that's him blown, because at one point I saw him and Giovinazzi in the bottom 2 positions, and actually even Gio got up into P12, so...
I think literally, Raikkonen summed it up. I think the soft tyre was rubbish. He probably just couldn't switch it on in the traffic, and it just didn't work. I wanted to say with Stroll,
it was like,
funny stat with Stroll, He's on the longest active streak of Q1 eliminations, 8 in a row, and he still keeps scoring these points. So he's doing well.
Yeah, big ups. It's like almost if you remember 2013 qualifying at China, like those fastest tyres, like they're just quality tyres and they're just rubbish for race pace. Very much like that. Albon, even though he didn't score points, again, I really liked how he looked out there. Overtook his teammate when his teammate overcooked his tyres very early on the race. Looked pretty solid there. Another P11, no points like I said.
He could have ended his race on lap 1.
Yeah. It was,
that was close. Very close.
Some hairy moments there, but still, I think a really, really solid job. And Albon's really growing and still maturing as a good driver there. Haas, what can we say, really? They said they were going to be nowhere, and you know what? They were nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, normally their qualifying pace has been their strong point, and they didn't even have that this weekend. So you kind of knew how the race was going to kind of pan out, to be honest.
Yeah, and then let's say Renault, really the same thing. I mean,
Ricciardo
kind of looks somewhere, but then... I mean, for the first time in F1's history, have I ever seen a crash occur because a car is reversed into another one? That was one of the funny moments of the race. That was like the gif of it of him just like, did he not even look in the mirrors at all? Like, I think he just assumed.
Literally, Crofty said it best: mirror signal maneuver.
Yeah, like
literally just.
Yeah, he needs to go back to his driving test clearly. So yeah, Renault abysmal race. I mean, Hulkenberg looked nowhere for the first time. He looked so uncomfortable compared to Ricciardo, and Ricciardo actually looked okay compared to him. But then,
Hulkenberg said yesterday, literally, he's never felt more out of touch with the car, and it showed. Just Renault, and also straight on speed as well. They just team poor.
Yeah, they're absolutely shot.
I want to highlight as well. Red Bull were not as good at straight on speed as I thought they would be with the Honda power unit, which tells me they're still working on it. Verstappen was struggling to get past Perez in the early part of the race.
Yeah, he had to build up to it a little bit. I think the Toro Rossos are actually a little bit faster than the Red Bulls though in a straight line.
Less draggy maybe.
So yeah, I think that's also maybe something where Red Bull need to look at of trying to work in unison with the power unit, of trying to cut some drag maybe perhaps. But obviously they always don't like to compromise for the downforce sake. And then finally really the Williams cars, they had a very quiet race, but P15, 16, at least they're not last and second last. So fair play, GG's.
there is a bad stat in there though for them. Out of the 4 tracks, like when they do the comparison of pace compared to last season. This was the slowest one. 1.8 slower than last year.
Oh dear. Oh, dreary me.
It's massive.
Yeah, it's not great. That's not good. Yeah,
and the qualifying was bad as well. Let's not forget about the
I mean, the entire weekend for Williams was bad with that whole, drain cover issue.
Drain cover.
I mean, that was a farce in itself. Baku, wrapping it up. Baku was such a chaotic weekend up until the race. For F1. F2 was absolute chaos the entire time, and it's just a shame it fell a little bit flat in the race. And really, it's kind of for the first time, I think, Tom, this race has answered questions rather than leaving us with some, because it really has answered that. Yeah, Ferrari just aren't here now.
Yeah, also Mercedes are there. It's a bit of both. I think Mercedes are nowhere near what was sold to us.
Yeah, exactly. So
I think with this race as well, I think people kind of fed the narrative of it being in Baku, anything can happen kind of race, for completely forgetting that the first 2 races at that track were absolute snooze fests. We've just had 2 crazy races the last 2 years, but the years before that, Baku being the worst race of the season, and we even thought about, is it worth it being in the calendar?
The only thing is F2 was really crazy this year, so it's just, I don't know, it's just a case of the field just wasn't really that bunched close up together for this one, compared to obviously an F2 field where they're all having the same car, so it's a bit of a shame in that respect. But that was Baku, race 1001. I thought we would break the 1000 was not that great. I thought, okay, 101 then is going to be back to normal, back to good race, and no, unfortunately, wasn't a classic. The Spanish Grand Prix comes next. Hopefully that can be a bit...
That's never really a spectacular race.
It never is, but let's hope. Let's hope, Tom.
Monaco.
Let's hope, Tom. Let's hope. But that was the instant race reaction to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We'll have a more in-depth deep dive into that GP in the coming week with a full pit lane podcast here. But this has been this one, guys. If you did enjoy the reaction, then hit the like button. Let us know what you thought of that race in the comments below. Anything we talked about right here in the video. If you're new around here, do subscribe for this to the channel for weekly Formula content. I've been Aaron, for this has been Tom as well, and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.